high interest rates, low inventory, and not knowing what the Fed's going to do, 2024 is going to be a tumultuous year. It almost feels like when we got started back in 2008.
The big difference between now and 2008 is you didn't know what the word tumultuous meant back then. Look, we've both learned a lot since then, and our followers who like and subscribe to our channel are going to be dragged kicking and screaming through 2024 with us as we share what we've learned and how we got our start in the world of real estate.
One of the best ways to get started in real estate, especially during a year where it's tumultuous, is finding distressed assets.
Yeah, sure.
And I think the three ways that we like are basically pre-foreclosures. These are before a foreclosure.
Yep.
There's foreclosure auctions, which is when the bank tries to get the property back.
We wrote the book on that.
We did, Foreclosures Unlocked. And then there are foreclosures, or also called REO, or real estate owned. And these are after the bank takes ownership after the auction.
So we're going to talk about those and a lot of other cool stuff about the world of real estate on our channel. Let's jump right into pre-foreclosure stuff.
Back when we got started, we were buying quite a few properties of pre-foreclosures. This is basically where someone is having issues with paying their mortgage. So they have maybe missed a couple payments. The bank hasn't actually finished the paperwork to actually have an auction.
Right.
But they're already started the process.
It's usually when there's a bank involved and they're not paying the mortgage. That's the mainly with
correct. They've gotten what's called an order of notice.
Yeah.
This basically means that the bank is saying, hey, you haven't paid me, you better pay or get the heck out.
So if I'm a homeowner, whatever happened, right? Whatever life event maybe happened to me, something changed, and I stopped paying my mortgage probably for several months, the bank starts taking some kind of action against me, starts telling me, hey, this is what's going to start happening. And then you, as an investor, would come along, and how would that work? What would you do?
Well, yeah, so basically what I would do is kind of negotiate with you and the bank. So basically I'd kind of step in and say, okay, I would look at what you have. So you generally have an order notice. It'll tell you how much you owe on your mortgage. So, they also add their fees and the back owed interest, stuff like that. And they'll say, okay, you owe $100,000. And I'm going to look at it and like, all right, well, this property is worth X. There's a spread. I can make some money in between. So I can pay off your debt. Now, the key is also knowing all the debts that are associated with it. So you really need to do your due diligence and figure out all the different situations and all the liens on the property because you're taking on all that debt.
So I don't understand, though. As a property owner, right, I haven't been paying my mortgage. What am I getting out of this? You're making this huge spread because you're basically paying off, my debts and what I owe other people. And then what? I got to get the heck out of the house. I don't own the house anymore. What do I get?
Well, yeah. So
are you taking advantage of me at this point?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm taking advantage. I'm trying to help you in a bad situation because if a bank steps in and kicks, basically has the auction, you're getting nothing as the owner.
Yeah.
You're going to be basically told get out, 30-day notice or maybe even a 3-day notice depending on the state.
And I've got a foreclosure on my record.
And you have a foreclosure on your record, which stays on typically for 10 years.
Yeah, I'm not going to be going out buying another property. Nobody's going to lend to me at this point.
Exactly. And maybe if there's enough spread, maybe you can kick them a little bit of money, and help them move. Maybe you can get them a moving truck, help them with that whole situation so it's a little easier transition.
A little silver lining there.
Yeah,
as opposed to, letting the process play itself out, knowing where the whole thing is going. I walk away with nothing and a blemished record.
The key is finding, I think, we always say a win-win situation.
Yeah.
It's not all just about what you are. You want to figure out what also will work for them.
Perfect.
And typically what they're finding is that they're in a really bad situation. They're stressed out. They've been probably ignoring the mail at this point.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, head in the sand. I just can't deal with this. So you come in and you're like, well, here. This is the situation. I know it's bad. I'm sorry to hear this, but this is what I can help with you. And, you're not walking away with $100,000 maybe in your pocket, but you're getting out of the situation. You're keeping it off your record. Yep. You're actually hopefully moving on with your life into a better situation.
You're making what could be the best decision given the situation you're in.
So some of these might be also what's called non-recourse loans. That basically is a loan where the owner or the investor doesn't have any, what they say, recourse. There's no repercussions.
Yeah.
Basically, the bank can take the property back. They don't have to worry about it blemishing or them going after their personal assets. It's only the asset that it's tied to. So they're just like, I'm out. So there was one the other day where it was a package mortgage that we were at, and there was about 7 properties. When I was looking at it at the auction, I was looking at the other properties, and they actually did pre-foreclosure on these. So I was trying to get those other properties because I was like looking at it because you can pull it up on the registry of deeds, and the other properties someone had negotiated basically buying them pre-foreclosure.
Right.
And so they were able to get probably a really good deal on those other, I think there was 3 2-families, a 3-family, and something, and maybe another 3-family. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. So unfortunately, those are all taken. I didn't get that to that point, but someone got a good deal.
Absolutely.
And that was back in March. So these opportunities, and this note was only, so this mortgage was given in 2020. These are newer mortgages that are happening. So there's value there.
Well, a lot of people were taking on stuff that maybe they couldn't afford, or making investments or decisions, and then a whole lot changed since then.
We wrote the book on it, Foreclosures Unlocked. Now, there's typically 2 different states of auctions. So there are what's called the judicial. So we'll start with that. So a judicial auction is where a judge has to approve the auction. They have to, so basically
approve what it's sold for.
Well, not just approve what it's sold for, but actually approve the whole process.
The whole process.
To even start the auction.
So he's overseeing the whole thing.
Overseeing the whole thing. So it's all documented at the court, and they have to get along the way. The bank has to go in front of the judge with a lawyer and get everything approved.
Gosh, this must work super quickly then.
Oh, very fast. Yeah. Now they typically say at the auction it will close in 30 days. I've yet to see that. Yeah. It's usually almost 6 months.
Yeah.
So it is a lengthy process. It also is a lot of risk because you often don't get access
to the properties.
Yeah,
yeah. Right.
So you're standing right at the front of the property, and you're bidding it, and you maybe get to walk around. Maybe. You're not really. It could be trespassing. Maybe. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, like I always say, you're bidding on a mystery box.
Exactly.
Basically.
The good news with judicial stuff is because it's going through a court, it's very open, so you can actually pull up the court case if it has all the information online, or go down to the courthouse and have pull the case. Mm-hmm. You can generally see if they have an appraisal. They'll see maybe a foreclosure worksheet, which kind of outlines the debt that's associated with the property. So you can kind of get a better picture of the property than what's the other side, which is a non-judicial, which there is no judge. Right. Now, they do have to follow certain procedures, but they don't have to go in front of the judge.
And the procedures are very detailed, very lengthy. 100%. A lot of opportunity for technical errors and stuff like that in it too. But we will win a foreclosure auction. We'll be bidding on one day, and we'll become owners sometimes very, very quickly right after. So it's a nicer turnaround for the banks, for the buyers, and everybody in between.
And there's opportunity out there. So like we were talking about, so this is actually being recorded at the end of 2023. And just last week, a few days ago, we went to a foreclosure auction. It was the one I was just talking about, which was a package mortgage. Yep. And actually, we just heard it. We just won another one. So we'll get to find more details about that. But this was an investment portfolio loan. So there, like I said, there were 7 properties. Unfortunately, someone was able to pick out the other properties before pre-foreclosure.
Makes me worry about this property, though. If they didn't pick this one out of the... We'll see.
They might not have been able to negotiate terms with the bank.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Yes, right? Exactly. And I showed up to the auction, and no one else showed. Once again, this was a note from 2020, so it's not a very old note. And I was able to pick up about a $600,000 6-family house for $355,000. So once again, I'm just saying these are opportunities that we're seeing at the end of 2023, and we're seeing more and more foreclosures coming to market. Now, there was a lull for the last couple of years, but things have been upticking based both in judicial and non-judicial states. So for us, Connecticut and Massachusetts, we're seeing a big uptick, at least 100%. Let's talk about the next thing. And this is something that we did back in 2008 to 2014. We bought a lot of these things called REOs. Yeah. And these are real estate owned. So this is after the auction. So the bank won it at auction. They didn't get the price they were looking for. Right. And so they basically had to record the deed and then take it back. So generally they're working with a local real estate agent, and they're getting what's called a BPO, or a broker price opinion, so that of the value of the property, which is probably often less than what they were trying to ask for at the auction. Yeah. So this is when now you can possibly buy it from the bank. Yeah, because the bank basically went through the foreclosure process and actually became the owner, not just the lender anymore. Now they're the owner of the property. Correct. It means they're also a landlord if there's people living in the property, right? This is true. If there are property, they have to follow all local ordinances just like you do. Right. But the big disconnect with bank-owned property is they typically, if it's a vacant one, they're not going to turn the water on. They're not going to turn the utilities on. They're still telling you buying it as is, especially when these larger banks, they don't have a bunch of people to run around and keep the properties. That's not their business. They're banks. They're lenders. They're not property managers. They're not landlords. They're not handymen. They want to just lend money and stuff. They're not trying to do all this other stuff that comes with ownership. No. So what they want to do is they want to get rid of this property as quickly and reasonably as they can. How are we finding these deals before, and how do we find these deals now? Perfect. So what we were doing before is Back in 2008, all that time, we were working with a local real estate agent, and we were driving around to look at these properties. At some point, I mean, we were hundreds of properties per week. We were seeing so many boarded up properties. We'd have to bring our screw gun. We were getting into these properties. We'd also typically we'd talk to the local REO agents in the area and have them, kind of circle us around and kind of, try to find all these. And so there was a lot of trial and error, because there was maybe if we looked at 100, we put offers on 10, and maybe we got one. It was a lot of work.
Yeah. It was a long. I mean, there was house after boarded up house that we were going into all the time,
and often there were homeless people we'd find in there.
We found a lot of stuff going on in these properties. Yeah.
So now, luckily, there's some people like Foreclosure.com that have put things together that make it a lot easier. They're pulling all these notices. They're pulling all the information for you in one place, which we did not have in 2008, which is awesome.
It would have been nice to have that back then. Let me tell you, it would have saved us a lot of legwork. I mean, wow.
100%.
Yeah.
So you can go there. Now, Foreclosure.com is great for like pre-foreclosures and foreclosures or REOs. They don't really work on auctions, not at this time, but they focus on pre-foreclosures and auctions, which is fantastic. So.
Yeah, if you want to know about actual active foreclosure auctions, how to go to the bidding, at the property itself and participate on that, we wrote the book on that, and that's another shameless plug for us. But before foreclosures, the auction actually takes place. That'd be like foreclosure.com nowadays. And then after the auction took place and the bank bought the property, again, that'd be another time that you'd use foreclosure.com.
So one of the great things about foreclosure.com is you can actually search via the type of property you're looking for. So if you're looking for like a single family house, for a flip or maybe for yourself, or if you're looking for more investment property, multifamily or commercial, mobile homes, you can kind of pick and choose, which is awesome.
So like a multifamily, like a 2 or 3 family house, I could live in one unit, rent out the others, or just buy it as an investment property.
Exactly.
Those are the kind of things that banks will end up coming to ownership from foreclosure auction, and then they try to liquidate, and you can find that stuff online now at foreclosure.com.
Yes.
That's really cool, because before, I remember when we were doing this stuff, we were having our real estate agent reach out to the bank, and by the time we got somebody coordinated with keys to go show us the property, we're halfway to the property, and we're getting a phone call saying they already have a deal on the place. So I mean, these things are moving quick then.
They moved very quickly.
I can only imagine how fast they're moving now. So that's actually really cool, because I know with foreclosures.com, you actually have the ability to get updates and like emails and stuff like that coming to you.
Nice.
So when something new comes out, when something goes off, and you're a lot more able to react faster.
But then you need to really also be able to analyze the deal quickly as well, because if you're getting it, so are other people using foreclosure.com. So you want to make sure you're doing a good job so you can get a good property.
Right. So you get the alert, you go over to your desk and you start running your numbers.
100%.
I got you. Okay, that makes sense. So I know when we first started doing this and we were buying these properties without using the website, we were doing them through REOs, we got burned a few times and we made a few mistakes because we didn't really know what we were doing. And that's kind of why we started our channel, is to help share our experiences with people.
True.
So one of the good things about foreclosures.com is they have resources, right?
Yes, they actually have detailed resources between checklists and tutorials to help you. They even talk about the different laws per state, so you can kind of look at it and read it and educate yourself on what's going on in your state, so that you don't make the mistakes that we made, and you can kind of learn from that. And it's really great for new people that are just getting started.
Yeah, that was us, essentially.
Yes.
We made a lot of those mistakes. We made videos and content to help people avoid it. It sounds like these guys also put together some info
100%.
to help people avoid it too. That's really cool.
We've come a long way since 2008, and I feel like 2024 is going to be another great year for us, but also for new beginners.
Yeah, and we want to be here every step of the way with you, and we want to hear about your journey forward. So make sure you drop a couple of comments. Let us know, what you thought of this, what your plans are going forward in 2024, and what you'd like to see next.